Now we can tweet, we can communicate instantaneously, but it took 2.5 years for the slaves in the South to learn that they were free. And that day came on a day we now celebrate as Juneteenth.
That was Texas Republican Senator John Cornyn announcing his plan to introduce a bipartisan legislation that will recognize Juneteenth, that's today, as a federal holiday. As Senator Cornyn said, the event dates back to June 19th, 1865. That's when the news of the Emancipation Proclamation reached the slaves in the Southwest. And today is also the day that President Trump initially planned to host his big MAGA rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, as we mentioned before. But out of respect for this holiday, he decided to move the rally to tomorrow, June 20th. And he had this to say today, quote, "Juneteenth reminds us of both the unimaginable injustice of slavery and the incomparable joy that must have attended emancipation. It is both a remembrance of the blight on our history and a celebration of our nation's unsurpassed ability to triumph over darkness," end quote. Well, joining us now is the Executive Director at the National Diversity for Trump, Bruce Levell. Bruce, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
All right, Bruce, I want to ask...
Happy Juneteenth Day.
Yes, happy Juneteenth to you. Well, I want to ask you about this because the president has said that he's pretty much the one who made this popular in the first time. In a Wall Street Journal interview, he said that I did something good. I made Juneteenth very famous. It's actually an important event, an important time, but nobody had ever heard of it before. Well, I don't know if nobody had ever heard of it before, but it was widely uncelebrated nationwide. People would say, oh, this is a Texas holiday. Do you think that he can take the credit for making this as popular as it now becoming a federal holiday, likely?
Absolutely, 100%. I'm going to tell you why. I lived in Fort Hood, Texas. My dad was a retired sergeant major. Texas was probably the only ones that kind of knew about Juneteenth, respectfully. There wasn't a lot of parade or celebration or pomp and circumstance around the whole entire country. And the president is absolutely right. When he was going to have the rally initially on the today, I was actually happy. I sent a statement out, and I know Fox picked it up, some other networks, and I said, you know, the president, what happened to travesty in 1921, I'm a historian on that, the first Black Wall Street, but you're looking at a guy that's resurrecting the Black Wall Street right here in Atlanta here. So I was excited the fact that it did get on the radar. It got everyone. And now look, a Republican senator, John Cornyn, he's actually pushing the bill. So thank God for the Republicans who freed the slaves. But now we have a Republican say, look, I agree. Let's do a federal holiday. So he is absolutely right. He has gotten this thing on the radar, and it's the world knows about it. So I'm elated. I'm happy. He's right. He did. So I'm going to co-sign this.
All right.
You know, it's interesting, Bruce. We've been talking about this offset, but it's funny. Like all of these media folks are suddenly coming on the bandwagon, talking about it as if they covered it in the past, and it's amazing to me because. I'm with you. I wish that he had kept it on that day, and I'll tell you why. Yep. You remember, we had this discussion around Memorial Day, which is most people have lost, or not most people have lost, but there's a lack of understanding about the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and It's become more about sales than honoring the service and the sacrifice of folks. And I think if the president had held the rally and could talk about what the meaning of the day was, that part of what we're losing in a lot of these holidays is stopping and recognizing what they're about and the meaning of them. And it's just become a day off as opposed to teaching the rest of America about an issue or a person that's important to who we are as a people and a country.
Yeah. And, you know, Sean, we've had many conversations as a Black American here in Atlanta, in the South, successful Black business owner for 28 years, came to Atlanta with $35, did very well. But, I was excited that it was going to be the day because the president has constantly said, I've had many times conversations with him personally, the first started in Trump Tower about the disconnect in the justice system. He talked about that. Black America not having enough jobs. He wanted to correct that. But one thing, check this out, Sean, was the ability to restore and to build back the Black generational wealth. Yeah. And in a lot of the inner cities and a lot of the urban areas, the retail commodities, Sean, you guys, they're not really owned by Black America. You're starting to see that here in Atlanta. You saw the consignment shop that my good friend C.J. Pearson raised $160,000 money to put back into that consignment store 5 minutes from my business. That's a brand new Black business under the Trump administration. There's many others that they said, Bruce, please don't say my name on TV. They see this. They see the resurrection. The president knows. So you're absolutely right, Sean. We were happy with the date because I said, man, this is the time to come out and deliver that message. Like, look, I know where you've been through. I know what you come from. We can build this black wealth back here in America under my administration. I was like, please leave it on that date. But we're still cool because we're having a conversation. Now the world, we're talking about it. So now I just did a hit earlier. They're talking about how the president wants to resurrect the black generational wealth, want to restore the education system where you choose your own school. Oh, the list goes on, man. This is fantastic, man. I tell you, this couldn't have been better. I'm so excited.
Wow,
really
we know where you come down on this. We are running out of time. We're actually out of time, but I do want to bring you back because you're in Atlanta. There's so much going on there, especially with respect to the case that's happening there, and I want to talk to you about that. I also, as we get forward and closer to Election Day, the points that you're bringing up, I want to follow up on this issue of the president's record, because I think you're absolutely right. There's a bunch of videos that I saw today on YouTube that are really interesting about the record of Democrats in terms of what's going on in these cities, in terms of what they've done for education or not. And there's so much to really break down that you're so right on that we just don't have time. And so as we get closer to Election Day, I think we got to continue this discussion. Happy Juneteenth. Have a great weekend. And I want to have you back next week to really start to delve into a bunch of these other issues.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Right,
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, coming up, we're talking to our media panel about a magazine that's suddenly writing articles on how to topple Confederate statues. That's right, you heard me. And later, as we get closer to the November election, how much can polling really tell us? Conservative writer David Horowitz is here to discuss. Stay with us.